going to churches without formatting.
Always a wonderful introduction. I love it. I really do. How are we this evening, Alex?
We're doing well so far.
And I'm going to have to ask you, what is new and exciting?
Nothing.
So exciting. And tonight we have our very good friend all the way from Sweden, live midnight there, Mr. I want you know what I want to say? The master. What was it that David Z would call you? He'd call you the Swedish ninja. I want to say the Swedish ninja of high strangeness, Fred Andersson. How you doing, Fred? How you doing?
Well, I'm fine. I'm still struggling from a nasty cold I had a couple of weeks ago. So my voice is still kind of recovering after it. Yeah, I see another one who has a cold here. It's so I'm just but I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I'm not going to start this with complaining, but it's I was thinking about here, will my voice make it through these hours? But I'm sure it will.
That's why you need this.
No, yeah,
something a little hard there.
It won't help with sitting here vaping also, So,
exactly.
But I'm fine. I've been out walking so much this weekend, so my one of my legs is it won't work anymore at the moment. So now it's painkillers and tiger balm to make it heal again. So it's it's when you become a middle-aged man, everything kind of breaks down. So.
Yep.
Oh, tell me about it. I know all about that. That's for sure. Oh boy. So what? You've been so busy. You haven't been able to go out for your hikes and stuff, because I know you love going for your hikes and wandering into these mysterious and interesting locations.
Yeah, I mean, not as much as I wanted. We recently visited a very interesting area, not for any paranormal stuff or anything like that, but it's kind of like it looks like a triangle. It's a large triangular shaped area squeezed in between the main airport, the big motorway and industrial areas, and in this triangle, it feels like you're far out on the Swedish countryside, with the country roads and fields and forests, and it's such a weird place. It's a typical liminal space, and there's no one there. It's like it's almost quiet. You can kind of hear the traffic and trains and airplanes, but it feels like you're all alone as well. Yeah, really. Yeah. And it's wonderful, actually.
And if you stumble right now, if you were to stumble upon a road that's split into three, one road says UFOs, one says ghosts and the paranormal, and another one says high strangeness. Which one would you go down right now, Fred?
I mean, you guess high strangeness, of course. Because in high strangeness, you get everything. It's everything there.
Everything.
So that's the best one. What would you choose?
Gnomes, you get fairies, you get trolls, you get everything.
Everything. I'm with you. I'd go down that road too. Why not? You never know. You never know what you're going to stumble across.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
And speaking of high strangeness, you've got a new book out. Well, it's been out for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. It came out in what was it, July? Maybe.
July, yes.
Yeah. It's called Northern Lights: High Strangeness in Sweden, published by Beyond the Fray Beyond the Fray Publishing in the United States, which was kind of a surprise. I sent them the script, and they got back to me a couple of days later and said, "Hey, we want to publish it," which was like, what? This has never happened. I always publish my own stuff. And I have absolutely no idea how many copies been sold, but there's a bunch of really, really good reviews. out there, and there's tons of people have posted that they bought it, and I heard a lot of positive feedback. Though my favorite review so far is the maybe it's the worst one actually. It's like 3 stars of 5, and this person writes quite interesting rambles a bit, and that kind of, I feel that kind of personify me a lot. It's I felt fine with that. So because I do ramble a bit. Yeah.
I mean,
like,
you're just the type of person who doesn't want to leave anything out. You want everything possibly interesting to get in there.
yes. There's no kill your darlings when
Yeah.
I write a book. Absolutely not. It's some might say that, yeah, Fred, you should have killed some of the darlings in that book, but it's, I want to get them down on paper. I want them to get them down on paper in English, so people can read about them. So, I'm satisfied with it. Yeah, I'm happy I did
And
it.
where can people find this book?
Yeah.
Oh,
So they,
Everywhere, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere where you buy books online, you can order it. I know some people have found it in physical bookstores also.
Oh,
So
wow.
it depends. I guess it depends if the bookstore, takes it, in what you say, into the store. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's available everywhere, and buy it. Please buy it, because I really want to write another book at the moment. I'm very, very excited to write another book, but I need to feel, I need to, my ego needs to be polished a little bit more. That's it.
Well, here, like I said, I'll stroke your ego a little bit more. I would love to support you by buying directly from you. You know that.
Yeah, and we can
So,
arrange that.
yeah. But what was I going to say? So, like you said before, you've written a few books, and outside the American distributor,
Mm.
what our publishing company, how is this different from all the other books that you've written?
Oh, this one is the first book. First of all, it's a non-fiction book.
Yeah.
It is based on my research into really, really weird, strange cases in Sweden, and we're talking mostly UFOs and humanoids and stuff. But there's
Mhm.
some time rifts and other weird things going on in the book. So it's a the other book I wrote, the other books I've written is more like essays, and there's some short story collections. There's, but not really about UFOs and the paranormal in that way. But this one, I felt that, I need to write one of these books sooner or later, and finally it happened. So.
Well, I like I said, I'm intrigued. You have found. I know you've shared a whole bunch of interesting stories here over the little while you've been on the show in the past, and I'm sure it's a very intriguing offering. Did you want to go a little bit without giving too much, away on the book? It's just a sort of a brief sort of what can people kind of like expect.
Oh, yeah. I need to actually take a sneak peek into the book.
Yeah.
I need to check the chapters here. I mean, I think we talked about a couple of these cases here
Okay.
in with you guys before, but these, of course, goes into a lot more details
Mhm.
because I can't remember everything when I talk about stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have a chapter about different kinds of men in black
Mhm.
sightings in Sweden,
Oh, wow.
including
Okay.
including frogmen in black. I mean, like divers, not actual frogmen, but that would be cool, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Landings that left traces, which happened a couple of times during the 70s, for
Mhm.
example. Owls and UFOs, of course. I have a chapter
Okay.
about that. And it goes into a lot of cases actually. I mean, there's, you can say, a main case in each chapter, and then when I wrote about that case, I came to think about a lot of other cases. So it kind of, branches out into this kind of fractals of other cases in all directions. But I try to take, there's very few, there's no cases about, little dots in the sky or something. This is like, this is, flying saucers landing, or weird humanoids lurking around offering chocolate and stuff like that.
Chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. We have. I mean, it's a classic. The food offering from the other side. You should never accept drink or food from fairies and gnomes and aliens, because then they will take you away. So and the girl in this story, she was so scared, so she wisely didn't accept this piece of chocolate the aliens wanted to give her. They stretched out their hand, and she couldn't. She was so scared she couldn't take it, and they got tired of her, and they just walked away and disappeared basically after that. So it's always interesting with this folklore connection when it comes to these cases. Absolutely.
I think I'm pretty sure we kind of touched base a little bit, but I want to kind of expand it if we can. But personal experiences, Fred, like within this high strangeness sort of world, is there something that you experienced personally that drove you to want to know more about what's going on?
Yeah, I'm sure I mentioned some of the more classic paranormal things I've been experiencing. It's not much. I'm absolutely sure I mentioned the black ghost, the solid black shadow person I saw once, quite close also. But when I've been thinking about this, because I always say, when people ask me, have you experienced something? And I always end up saying that no, I haven't seen anything at all. But that's not true, because there is, a few things here and there. I think the one that kind of set me off as a kid was my dad's partner, Gunilla, who sadly passed away many years ago. She told me by the kitchen table how she saw a silver sphere, a big silver sphere, hovering above their parking lot when she was a child. She and their mother saw it, which by itself is quite weird, of course. And that probably made me very, very curious. When you hear someone close to you, someone within the family, that they've seen something. Then you have my father's. No, what will that be? My father's grandma. That's my great grandma, great
grandmother.
Yeah.
Great.
She had her gnome encounter in 1920, which is a family legend, of course. But I think it was 2019. I had an experience which oddly enough, I don't mention it in the book, but it is quite weird. We were sitting. Stop me if I told this one. We were out barbecuing. We had Polish sausages and probably some beers, and sitting out by a field just by the edge of the forest one night. This was after midnight also, more or less this time. And out there on the field, we saw a bright circle, a wide circle, kind of. What do you have? Yeah, it's kind of just a bright, huge white circle out on the field. There was no lamps visible. There was no technology around. This was just this circular area that was lit up. Basically, you didn't see any beam or something coming down. It was just the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were like 4 people out there and looking at this, and all of us had cameras. No one took one single photo.
Is that's par for the course, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Or
like,
you do get a picture and it's blurry or whatever else,
Yep.
and you're like,
yeah.
oh damn.
I mean, there is photos from the evening, but all of those photos are precisely cropped so you can't see this area. They're kind of just in everywhere except that area, which is so. I mean, I don't know what that. I'm not saying it's paranormal or UFO or something like that, but it's quite weird. And I've been there many times before and after, and I never seen anything like it. It was just this bright circle, big bright circle, like a big pancake of bright light. Maybe some kind of fairy circle or something. I don't know. So maybe good that we didn't step into it.
Yeah.
It could have been a portal to another dimension for all you know.
It could be, and we live in a disturbing world, but I really don't feel for going to another realm anyway. I feel fine here.
So you said you've had a lot of positive feedback so far with the book. Are you finding people sending you their own personal experiences, something that you're like, whoa, wow, hey, this I could probably write another book just on this alone?
Yeah, it happens, or they send me experiences their family had, for example, or their grandparents had. But what's interesting when you've written a book like this or working, I mean, I'm working on a television project now, which is about UFOs, and as soon as you start talking about UFOs with the most rational people, after a while, sooner or later they will say, I saw something strange once upon a time, and they tell often the wildest story. The host, the guy who's the host for the show is on a way on, what do you call it when he's not a professional military, but he it's more like
Casual.
no. What do you call it? Home guard? No. I don't know. I don't know what's called. Anyway, it's like middle-aged men going out in military uniforms, pretending to be militaries.
What is
But
reenactment? Not reenactment.
No, it's not a reenactment.
Not reenactment.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So he's out on that now, and he called me yesterday because one of his friends there had told him a couple of stories. It was first this guy had seen a big ball of light, like the size of a car, and this light had, of course, it flew around, but also down on roads, following curves, like that. And there were quite many witnesses to that. He also had seen what he described as 7 football-sized triangular objects flying above them towards Stockholm City, basically, which I never heard about that. So I'm looking forward to talk with him, because I would like to hear more. If you can identify which year it was, or if I can talk with any of the other witnesses, for example. So everyone has a story out there. Love that.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. It's like, if you're more open to this sort of aspect of life, you're going to find yourself experiencing different stuff within this sort of realm, if you will. I myself, I've had experiences while out investigating the paranormal. I've had experiences just walking home innocently, from work, and bang, having an encounter with a cryptoid, very unusual one, even a UFO experience, and you sit there and go, why is that? Why is it that, Yeah, I do believe this, but I'm not going to sit there and say, well, yeah, that's paranormal without
Hmm.
trying to explain it. But it's just crazy. Now, the experiences that do you find, Fred, that the experiences that are happening nowadays, they don't seem to be as authentic as, say, the ones from the past, the historical sort of
Hmm.
aspects. They don't seem as, I don't want to say intriguing, but you know, I don't know. Some of the best experiences are from the past, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have a theory about that, or a hypothesis at least. It depends on how you see the phenomenon, of course.
Yeah.
And I always felt that what you experience, the phenomenon, it's a part of you. So if you see something, it's partly maybe a projection of your own mind, basically, or your own experiences or information. It doesn't take away that it's not, doesn't mean it's not real. It's more a way for you to perceive stuff. When you see something you've never seen before, you kind of project something on it. And I honestly think that we're over saturated with information today, and there's so much information and so much media, so much social media everywhere. So it's kind of degrade. It should be the opposite, but it's kind of degrading our own imagination. So let's say we're out walking and we see something that in the 70s would be a weird three-armed humanoid. Nowadays it's just a shadow person.
Mm,
You kind
yeah.
of, it's like your mind is too, it's overheated by information. Now this of course is only speculation, because but then again it's obvious that today's experiences people have, it's not as exciting as they once were.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not as wild or imaginative, or you know I mean, a good example is Whitley Strieber's Communion. Great book, and the stuff in that book is so weird. But after that, a lot more people started to seeing this kind of more, to be honest, I think boring gray alien, instead of the Pascagoula humanoids, or weird meaty sacks of creatures crawling on roads. It's just this plain figure people see instead, which is kind of sad, because I like my monsters. I like the really
Yeah.
weird stuff. So
Oh, me too, Fred. I
yeah,
mean, I can get into all sorts of monsters, from the universal monsters all the way to the Japanese yokai.
yeah, yeah,
I just absolutely love monsters.
And to
Um,
the monster in his closet too.
yeah.
where, man, where?
Yes. Oh, you have a classic zombie in the background there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
classic
yeah.
poster, huh?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
talking about monsters, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. It's one of the best.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Mm.
Yeah, talking about paranormal. Yeah. When's the last time you watched it?
Quite a long time ago, I think. But
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched it.
yeah, but I will sit down and revisit some of these Italian classic, Zombie Flesh Eaters, the Beyond, Nightmare City. It's been a long time since I dived into
Mhm.
Italian classic horror. At least, there's been more. Whenever I seen something, when they publish something old on Blu-ray now in some restored version, is mostly something more obscure, Mexican
Mhm.
horror or
Mhm.
Indonesian horror, and I love that, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but the Italians are kind of in the background, and I need to bring them back again. I heard now that finally Severin Films is releasing one of the best. It's never been released before. It's Spider Labyrinth.
Oh, no
I don't.
way. Great
It's a,
film.
yeah, a great film, and I
Oh, yes.
can't wait to see it restored on disc. Finally.
Oh yeah.
I have a bootleg of it.
Me
each.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I have that. I think I have that to thank to. Well, you know, another connection we had was Horror HQ. You know,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for that place, I don't think half the movies I, you know, it would have took me a little longer, but you know, whatever. Um, yeah, great flick. I used to love that movie. Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh,
Yeah, I remember it have a very the Thing style scene where a head is kind of ripped off and it kind of crawls away, or it gets spider legs or something like that. Feels
yeah.
like something from The Thing, but Italian.
Yeah. They loved ripping off some of the
Yes.
classic films, but they did a great job. I think I love them.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
You
I
know,
love them.
I I'm always defensive when it comes to Italian rip-offs or rip-offs in general. I like rip-off movies because they they kind of take the essence of the original movie and just removes all the unnecessary stuff, which not necessarily is unnecessary in the original movie, you know, because it could be a great drama and character development. But sometimes you just want to see the, you know, the fun stuff. And then it's great you have an Italian version where there's just silliness, you know, there's just gore. You know, that I like it. It's like a both finer and uglier version of the original movie at the same time.
Come on, nothing like a little bit of Bruno Mattei.
Yes. Oh, what a master, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You lost me. Who's this person?
Bruno Mattei. He's an
Oh.
Italian director. Oh man, his
Yeah,
movies are just great.
Yeah, the last movies he shot in the Philippines, you know,
Yeah.
just before he died,
Yeah.
cheap stuff, but so much fun energy in them, so much gore and monsters and everything. I love them, you know. I really love them.
You know what? Again, I think a lot of people who watch these movies for the first time sit there and go, "What the heck?" They can't handle. I mean, when we were younger and we were seeing these movies for the very first time, I mean, over here in Canada and the U.S., they were dubbed in English, and right there, you're like, "Oh man, what the hell? This is so fucking cheap." But you know, but what I was so used to it, Fred, that when they came out with the, you know, the remastered DVDs and then later Blu-rays, and then you can watch it in the original Italian language with the English subtitles. I'm like, no, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's the same here. I always watch them with the English language track, you know, if it's available, because it's, you know, that's what I'm used to, you know, and it kind of gives that special feeling, you know, you remember it when you first popped in that videotape and you were wondering, what am I about to watch here? What is this dirty, gruesome movie?
Exactly.
You know, appearing in front of my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, come on, Alex, you should understand. These are Italian films, man. What the hell?
I'm just going through some of Bruno's list of movies here. Terminator 2.
Terminator, Terminator 2,
Yeah, a good one. Alien. No, he didn't do Alien 2. That was another guy. But he did. One of the last movies he made is basically a ripoff of Aliens, the second movie, but with zombies instead.
With zombies.
Yeah.
Well, it was him. He did. Well, what is it? Virus.
Yeah, Virus. Yeah, exactly.
Where they ripped off Goblin's score.
Yes. Yeah, or Hell of the Living Dead. It's
Hell of the Living Dead. Yeah,
also, yeah.
Hell of the Living Dead.
Fun movie.
Some of these movies are funny. Like the titles are hilarious.
Man. They're great, man. They're classic. Like the stock footage in Hell of the Living Dead.
I was just about to bring that up. I love the stock footage.
The stock footage is incredible.
Yeah, it has like a wallaby, some kind of kangaroo or something, and one of them is jumping there. You should, Alex. You should really dive into Italian.
You should, man. You should.
I'm one of the titles, The True Story of the Nun of Monza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious. 99 women. What the hell?
They've got some really interesting. He's got some really interesting. interviews.
Cugineta, amore mio. Oh God. You know what that means?
No.
Tell us,
Cugineta. Cugina means cousin,
Yeah.
cousin.
and amore
yeah.
mio means my love.
Oh,
Aha. Yeah. You see,
So you know,
that's Italy for you.
that's
yeah.
for
I,
you.
you know.
He knows.
No.
At least from Rome, anyway.
Yes.
So okay, well let's fray back into the or wander back into high strangeness in Sweden.
Yeah.
Now you want to write another book. You want to
Mhm.
write okay. So what are we looking at? High Strangeness 2, or are we gonna are you gonna go in? Are you thinking about going into a certain area?
I'm actually. We've talked about it before, but you know,
Yeah,
my fascination for gnomes
yeah.
it's getting more intense for each day.
Oh wow.
You know, it's like this meme with the fat cat. You know, breathing intensifies, and that's basically me when there's gnomes around, and or in
That's a
general.
funny meme.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it's a great one.
Yeah.
Or in general, you know, small, you know, the little people, in the Swedish traditions, you have gnomes, you have tomte, you have vette, you have of course fairies, you have all these local versions of these tiny characters,
Yeah.
and I discovered there's so many modern sightings of them. I mean, up until this day, and
Mhm.
I collected quite a lot of research on it because I started to do it one day, and I went through my own little archive, and I see, oh yeah, I've saved this one. Oh, this one I've saved, and now I have quite a you know a thick book with just research material I need to,
Yeah.
you know, go through. Uh, but I kind of got boosted doing this again when reading about Bridget of Sweden. She was a saint during
Okay.
medieval times,
Yeah.
and she had all these visions, like they always do, the saints. And she writes about incident where she visited a Swedish farm, and she discovered that the family there didn't worship God, they didn't go to church. Instead, she writes, they worshipped the gnome gods, or the god gnome, depending. And she have a name for it in Latin. I guess it's Latin. It's called Tomta Gudi. And I Tomta Gud, I think, is a great title. So
Yeah.
if I ever write this book, it will be called Tomta Gudi, the Gnome Gods of Sweden,
Mhm.
and I will go into the different kinds of gnomes, and both historical and modern cases, and maybe try to come to some kind of conclusion also, what they might be, or you know, what connections they have to mushrooms and psychedelics,
Mhm.
or but because of it, I was also reading Ecology of Souls by Joshua Katchin, where he talks a lot about death and dying in combination with UFO sightings and the fairy sightings, etc., etc. And he actually mentioned a detail which I didn't know about, that Vette, the original gnome of Sweden,
Mhm.
it looks like a little man with a beard and pointy hat, and he kind of guards your farm. Uh, Originally, he was supposed to be the spirit of the first person who owned that piece of land.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's basically more a ghost,
Mhm.
or something like that. And I kind of like that because it was, you know, I almost said I love death, but I love the theme of death and dying. I
Mhm.
find it
Yeah.
very fascinating. So I felt okay, and then you have Bridget of Sweden talking about the gnome god. You have the gnome spirit, the first person who owned the land. There is something to this, and we'll see. If we'll see. I really hope I will do this book. I have enough material for it, that for sure.
Well, that's good. That's good. Have you ever seen that that well, it's not so viral anymore, but it was a viral video years ago. And these kids, I guess they were it was either Argentina or Brazil, one of the two. And they're at some, like, it looked like some corner store or whatever, and they were just kicking the soccer ball around in the parking lot there. And the security camera, you could see this little troll gnome like guy just, like, kind of walking down the street in the darkness, and then it comes within the street light. And then all of a sudden, the kids see this and they, like, start screaming and take off. And that's the end of the video. But I'm like, wow, if that is real, that is freaky as hell, man. That would just be so freaky as hell. You're just sitting there playing with your friends, kicking the soccer ball around, and bang.
Yeah. They're my buddy Jimmy, who I have the podcast with here in Sweden, has looked deeper into that video, and there is actually more videos where they it's quite revealing that it is some kind of monkey or something, that it is a hoax. It is a hoaxed video from the beginning. So there exists several takes from it, but it's a great video. I absolutely love it, and it's so freaky. It's so
freaky. The first time seeing that, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
If this is real, man.
Yeah. But it's, it kind of fits. I mean, a lot of gnome sightings in Sweden feels quite freaky and absurd, because the gnome is always grumpy. If it talks, it always complaining about something, or it looks pissed off, with a wrinkly, grumpy face, or sometimes it's equally shocked to see a human as the human can see it. So it's special creatures.
Are you aware or familiar with the Native American terminology called Pukwudgie?
I am slightly familiar with it. I was reading about it a couple of months ago for some news we had in our podcast, but I also felt what I was reading, felt quite hard to define what it was when I was reading about it. So I can't say I'm an expert of any kind when it comes to this.
Look into I'm not sure if you're familiar with it either, but I mean, if you want some sort of reference, look into the Bridgewater Triangle.
Okay.
The Bridgewater Triangle is this huge triangle area in it stretches from Connecticut to Massachusetts and over. The Lizzie Borden's house is in there. All sorts of weird stuff have happened within this triangle. Everything from UFO to Bigfoot to criminal activity where people have dumped and buried victims of mob hits, and all sorts of weird. But the one thing that I think really defines this area is the natives and how they would talk about the Pukwudgie, right? And how if you literally piss this thing off, it would wreak revenge. It literally was a pissed off little troll, more or less, So it's so I mean, who knows, maybe you might find something there as well. The Bridgewater Triangle is pretty intriguing, fascinating story. Well, several stories within it.
Well, I'm aware of the Bridgewater Triangle, but only from a UFO viewpoint. I'm maybe some cryptid also, but as I've been focusing so much on Sweden lately, I'm kind of all these other places kind of they goes in the background once again. But but that I would look into, because I would like to do some comparison with international gnomes.
International domes.
I actually revisited a Kevin Costner movie from 2009 called The New Daughter.
The New Daughter.
Have you seen it?
No, I've never seen that. No.
Yeah, it's basically about some trolls or entities living in a mound, and they
Wow.
it's like a rubber monster movie, but with Kevin Costner, and it's quite good actually, quite raw movie. I recommend it. It's kind of forgotten nowadays. But
it's called. What's it called again?
The New Daughter.
The New Daughter.
Yeah,
it's quite a stretch from Yellowstone, I guess, huh? Yeah.
Sorry, my throat is. I feel it's getting dry from talking, but that won't stop me. I will continue to talk.
Yeah, it's So, well, I guess we can get into it before the break. So have you been following the Mexican alien thing going on that went live a few days ago?
Yeah, I have kind of lost touch with it the last couple of days, but yeah, that was bizarre, I would say. Some of the other speakers at this press conference were Ryan Graves, who's quite, this is a serious military guy or ex-military guy who saw stuff. And even he went out on Twitter and said, okay, I'm sorry. I did, I participated in this press conference because I didn't expect these alien bodies being, rather. I'm one of those who's very, very skeptical about these things. I don't know what you guys think about it.
Alex, have you seen it?
Are you talking about the Mexican one?
The Mexican,
I've seen images of it. I didn't really delve into the story, but most of these generally turn out to be hoaxes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is just another one of those.
Yeah. What? I mean, it was. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Jamie Maussan who showed these bodies on stage, and this is like the 2 or 3 times before he's done similar things, and it's always turned out to be a hoax, or it turned out to be some kind of old object still manufactured by humans, but like some kind of ritual object from a grave. So I'm skeptical. I am, but it's just fun news. It makes life a bit easier somehow when these things happen.
Let's see. Hold on a sec here. Let me just share it for those who may not know what we're talking about.
Are these actual alien remains? During a special public hearing, Mexican lawmakers were shown the remains and told under oath of their 2017 discovery in a mine in Peru. Lawmakers were told the remains had been preserved thanks to a specific kind of rock that prohibits the growth of bacteria and fungi. The remains were described as non-human, having 3 fingers on each hand. They were also said to be up to 1,800 years old, according to carbon dating. But who's the guy making these claims? That would be ufologist and researcher Jose Jaime Maussan. It's unclear how Maussan came into possession of the alleged remains, but he insists that they are non-human. Lawmakers were also shown the results of a medical examination that found that the beings had large brains and eyes that provided them with stereoscopic vision, but no teeth. This is not the first time Maussan has claimed that non-human remains, especially with 3 fingers, had been discovered. Back in 2015, Maussan thought that an excavated mummy unearthed in the Nazca region of Peru was an alien, but it was later concluded that the mummified remains were actually those of a small child. What also didn't help was that the mummy had an elongated skull, a characteristic many UFO enthusiasts have clung to as proof of a body being extraterrestrial. But anthropologists have noted that elongated skulls like that of the 2015 find are actually the result of an ancient practice in which young children's heads were bound with cloth, rope, or even wooden boards. Maussan made his recent claims during a public hearing held by Mexico's Congress regarding how to discuss unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, within a potential aerial space protection law. It's a law that, if approved, would make Mexico the first nation to formally acknowledge alien life on Earth.
But I
Yeah,
mean, go ahead, Fred.
no, but I've seen some really upset discussions about this.
I have too.
You know, people who believe it and people who don't believe it, skeptic, and it's been quite infected the last couple of days. I kind of just backed off a little bit just to let it calm down a bit, because it's like if I heard recently that they might be old, up to 1,000 years old, and yeah, that might be true, absolutely. But then but it still seems to be from an earlier examination of these bodies that they're feels more like some kind of ritual objects, some kind of statues built with bones and such, for some specific reason. But no, I do not believe they're aliens or ex-aliens.
No, I'm with you with that. I think it's especially the person behind it. I mean, it is like the video says, it's not the first time he has come forward to claim something as being alien that was not alien. So it's too bad, but you're going to have a lot of this now with disclosure. We'll keep them entertained now. We'll keep their minds occupied.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I don't. It's really too bad, but. So okay. So back to Sweden and high strangeness. So what would you say has been the oddest, the most unexplainable story you've covered so far that you've read out of Sweden?
Yeah, actually, it's one of those stories that's not in the book, because I discovered it afterwards, after I have written the book, and it's set in 1991 in a town called Alingsås. I mean, from an international viewpoint, this is not unique or original, but I still feel it has some parts of it which I really feel is very special. You have this married couple, they're sleeping in the room, and the wife, the woman, wakes up in the middle of the night, and she can feel that the blanket is gone, and she's kind of in a fetus, what do you call it, fetus position, and she feels that something is pulling her out from bed. She's not even touching the bed sheets anymore. She's kind of above the bed sheets, and something is pulling her. But she have some power left. She's scared or paralyzed, but she managed to somehow touch her husband, or with a hand, just reach out something, so he wakes up. And he wakes up and sees, to his fear, 3 gray aliens, 2 short and 1 tall, standing in front of the window, looking at them. And he also notices that his wife is being pulled away from bed. And it goes so far that she's out from the bed, levitating above the floor in a fetus position. And the husband, he gets out of bed and he aims a kick towards these 3 alien beings. They have cat-like eyes and long, slender necks, and gray and fleshy. And when he aims that kick at them, they disappear, and his wife falls down on the floor. Kind of loses her grip on her. First of all, this is rare. I mean, this is maybe the second abduction style case I've read about in Sweden, and it also has 2 witnesses.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you have the wife, you have the husband. They're by now they're divorced, but they still, even after being divorced they still, say that their story is completely true. There was no, there was no dreaming going on. They both had this experience, which I'd say is very unique for
Yeah.
an abduction scenario. They also directly after this happened, did they call the police? Did they stay up? Did they, drink coffee? Did they talk about it? No, they went they went back to bed directly and fell asleep. And they also felt like, why did we do that? If it was a burglar inside the house, there would be, panic and, adrenaline, everything like that. But they just went back to sleep again after this. I find this very, very fascinating. It's a very odd case just because of two witnesses, I'd say.
Well, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, one person is like, oh, well, it's individual experience. It doesn't hold water. But yeah, if you have more than one witness, obviously, there's something going on. There's something to the story. A
Yeah,
little bit more lividity to it.
yeah, definitely. I met a couple of years ago for some TV production. We were doing a show about, their normal ghost stories in their home, and we always had a psychic medium who was kind of, cleaning the house, removing ghosts and stuff, and he did that, and then they called us a couple months later, and they both of them had an experience where a woman with a long neck, kind of snake-like neck, were
Wow.
attacking them in their bedroom.
Wow.
I don't remember what we did about that, but that's also quite odd, especially if there are two. Maybe they were lying. I don't know that, or or they have, taken some substance or something. But still, it's something you rarely hear about.
Kind of sounds something like that. Sounds like a Japanese yokai monster.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Doesn't it?
yeah. I was thinking the same when I
Insanity.
heard it. Yeah, it's like, did they fall asleep in front of one of those movies or something like that? But
Yeah, their
I don't
mind
know.
was warped to the sense where they saw something unusual like that.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Imagine that.
yeah. So, but I mean, of course, there's other weird cases. In Sweden, I found a gnome. Kind of, how to describe it? This was in the 50s, and there was a boy. He was maybe 7 or 8. It's often children involved in these sightings.
Yeah.
And he woke up, he went down to the kitchen, and he saw that there were groups of gnomes outside the house. Groups with 3, 4, and maybe 7, 8 groups of them. And they were trying to get inside the house. They were scratching the door. They were trying to open the door. They were trying to get into the house through the well, stuff like that. And the oddest thing that they were tweeting like birds.
Oh, okay.
Like,
that's different. Yeah.
Yeah. And when they couldn't get into the house, they kind of turned around and went into a bright light that flew away, basically like a UFO again. So, yeah, just the bird part of it. Is so weird. Yeah,
That's really unusual. All right, we're gonna take a short break here, Fred. When we come back, we'll talk about a little bit more of this, and of course we'll get into something Alex kind of experienced and more. So hold tight to everybody who's watching. Again, this is going to be broadcasting on the New Visions Radio Network, hopefully this evening around 9 o'clock. If not, it will be rebroadcasted next Sunday night, but most likely, hopefully this Sunday night. So I will let everybody know. But until then, don't go anywhere. You're watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio, and our guest this evening is Fred Andersson. So hold on. We'll be right back.
I'm Richard Palmisano, the founder of the Searcher Group. It's a paranormal company, the oldest in Canada. I founded it in 1979, which not only makes me old, but makes me doing paranormal research and field work for just under 45 years now. I am also an author, researcher, and lecturer on the paranormal. I've written 6 books now. And I really enjoy coming on with Steve and Alex on Nocturnal Frequency Radio, as well as listening to the shows, because there's a lot of interesting guests there. I like it, looking at this stuff, because it opens your mind to other options and other alternative thoughts. And, there's always time to learn new things. So I hope you join us and come and see Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Thank you.
Few years. It's truly a Hey guys, Kristen here, host of the Paranorm Girl podcast, a bingeable exploration and deep dive education about the paranormal for the skeptical believer. Some of my past season topics have included shadow people, Mandela effect, demons, and UFOs. Currently, I am tackling Bigfoot. I have been sharing this journey with my audience since early 2021, and I have learned a lot these last few years. It's truly a mysterious world out there beyond our perceptions, and reality is just not what it seems. I have also, since the start, met some awesome folks like Alex and Steve, and I've really enjoyed watching and learning from them and also joining them on their show. Their guests are always outstanding, their listeners are just the coolest, and these hosts are some of my favorite people. I recommend their show to anyone looking for an intelligent and fun conversation about the paranormal amongst friends. So join me on my investigation, join Steve and Alex on theirs, and enjoy. Now back to the show. You are watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
And that you are. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Yeah, we'll have to, Fred, we'll have to get you to do one for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Put him on the spot.
Yeah.
No, we love promoting everybody, and you're a good friend of the show. I've known you for years, and we would love to have you if you're able to put one together quickly, and tell everybody about yourself and blah blah blah. And we definitely play it.
I'll do that. How long have we known each other, Steve?
Oh, Fred, since well, Horror HQ was what, 98, 99, 2000. And then
really?
you wrote for Cinema Nocturna for a bit too. And that was 2002. So it's been a while, Fred. We've known each other for a while.
More than 20 years. That's
more than 20 years, Fred.
My condolences, Fred.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. It's been a painful process, but
yes, it has.
But
it made me stronger.
But who would ever thought, though? I mean, back then, I'd never think that you would be somebody who was in researching and investigating and writing about high strangeness, especially UFOs, and now gnomes and stuff. But I mean, you've got a really prominent presence in the UFO community there now in Sweden.
Yeah, it's I need to show you something. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a bit surprised myself, actually. I didn't expect this 20 years ago, or to be honest, even 10 years ago. I've always been interested in the subject, of course, but to actually work with it. And I mean, nowadays we're doing I'd say it will be a fantastic TV series in 4-part four parts about the UFO phenomenon, and we've been doing a lot of filming recently, interviews, meeting witnesses, experts. There will even be skeptics and debunkers. We'll talk with the whole spectrum of the phenomenon, basically. And to work with this is like wow, and gotten a chance to publish this book is also wow. What happened? But I need to see if I can find it here, because when going through, here it is, when going through the UFO archive, we have the largest archives for the unexplained here in Sweden, and I was going through the digital collections, and suddenly I saw my name on one file.
Oh, no way.
And I was like, what is this? And that turned out to be some letter I wrote to them a long time ago or something. But so I was like, I wonder if there's more things with my name on. So I wrote my name into it, and I found a letter to a magazine I wrote in 1992.
Oh, wow.
When
92.
When I was 15 years old, and I have a copy of it here. And
wow.
you see there's a photo of a UFO there. But if you don't know Swedish, you don't know how angry this letter is. So this is
okay.
Fred Andersson, 15 years old. And listen to this, because this is not Fred of today. I want to question whether UFO enthusiasts ever get tired of trying to convince us rational thinkers that UFOs and extraterrestrial beings exist. They still present photographs and video footage that claim to show UFOs, but anyone can see how incredibly poorly made they are. I'm not bullshitting here, and I bring up Billy Meyer, even someone as terrible at photography as myself can take better UFO pictures than, for example, a man named Meyer, and blah 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 blah. I end this letter with, "Let's get rid of all the UFO fanatics."
Wait a sec now.
I totally forgotten that I wrote this, but I know why I wrote it. First of all, this is a long story. I was involved in a church at the time. As you know, I'm not a religious person, but at the time the family was very involved in it, and I probably felt that this was an easy target to. Because I couldn't do it in church towards the pastors, I couldn't do that, so I had to get out my anger at something else. And I'm referring to Meyer, and that he shows a photo of an alien, and that's because during this year there was an old-time ufologist called Sune Hjort, who later was revealed to be a Nazi. He was in Swedish television, and he showed a photo of a human, a girl, a woman, who I heard at the time was some ex-girlfriend of Billy Meyer.
Okay.
And it looked so fucking silly when the photo was shown in television. So I reacted to this. But, it's like there's I'm pissed off in this letter. I am.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's like, wow, you from one end of the spectrum to the next, right? It's like totally. Wait, Fred, what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still a quite skeptical person. I don't think,
and you have to be. You have to be skeptical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's healthy to be skeptical, because I mean, if you don't have that skepticism, everything is real, right? Everything.
And if everything is real, there's no mysteries in the world, and
no,
what would we do without mysteries?
Exactly.
So
I love mysteries, and you know what? And I don't know about you, Fred, but I'm finding it increasingly hard to find a really good story or an experience that somebody had that seems so authentic, so unusual, and so it hasn't been covered up by a million sources.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree, and it feels like it's more or less the same stories being recycled
Yeah.
over and over again, and it's written new books about the same stuff or new documentaries or whatever. But I apologize for my dry throat.
That's okay, Fred. That's okay.
I know not everyone will agree with me, but one of the more fun documentary experiences I've seen the last year or so is James C. Fox Moment of
Yes.
Contact about the Vagina case
Yeah.
which I absolutely love that documentary. I don't know what to believe of it, but it was so fun to see a case like that, with lots of witnesses, alien beings, crashed UFO, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't subtle at all. It's like UFO crashed, scary creatures crawls out, scaring people. Yeah, I love it.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. Like, I look at some of the the classic sort of the big stories, and we'll go with UFOs and Roswell and the Roswell crash and Area 51, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, it was probably really not much or nothing. There was probably just some technology they at the time they just wanted to cover up. They didn't want people to know, and blah 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 blah. But I mean, I what was it, April, I found myself in Las Vegas. I was in Las Vegas and I said, you know what, I wouldn't mind going to Area 51. I wouldn't mind to go there. And I don't care if I go to the Area 51 Alien Center there on the side of, what is it, 94 or something, I don't know, and hey, just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you walk into places like that and people have stories.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Roswell is still such a big part of the UFO mythology. If I were around there, I would go directly to one of those places, just because it's fun. You've been there, and it's somehow you're part of the history if you've been there also. So
yeah, I mean, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say I admire your beer.
Oh, yeah. It kind of looks like orange juice.
Yeah, but it looks nice, refreshing.
It is. Yeah. So, like, is there a place in Sweden or close to Sweden that you've read about for years? You've said, look, I one of these years I'm gonna go visit this place. I really would like to, because I know you did go to, I think, I'm pretty sure you said you went to somewhere, to that forest, wasn't it? That forest in not Romania. Is it Romania?
Yeah. The Hoya Baku forest. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah.
And I know that was one place you said you really wanted to go to, and you did, right?
Yeah, I did.
And what were your thoughts when you went there, after knowing so much, knowing things about it and your personal experience?
Well, we only went there during daytime, and it's a beautiful spot. It's a beautiful forest, but it's also kind of weird because I remember it's not that large forest either, but we got lost in it anyway.
Yeah,
the GPS didn't work, on the phones, so we knew what direction to walk, and it had an odd feeling. And then we sent the team there like a month later, to film there at night, and it was quite scary and disturbing. But I'd say that the spot I would like to go to next is to Norway, Hessdalen. It's this valley where they've seen strange lights, ever since a long time ago, but it was the biggest flap of lights in the 80s or maybe late 70s, where you could see maybe each week 20, 30 observations of weird stuff flying around, some captured on camera and photos, but mostly some kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's some kind of natural phenomena, some kind of lights or gas or something coming up from the soil and from the mountain. But there is more other observations there too, of more classic UFOs and such. And yeah, I love to go there. We almost went there for this show I'm working on now, but we will not have the time for it. So I guess I will have to go there, next year, in private or something, but it's a great place. It's lovely nature, and there's a lot of stories. Many people have seen stuff, and I think there's coming out this year a documentary about it, a new fresh documentary. Yeah. Who I think the title is the Hessdalen phenomenon, because all UFO documentaries has the word phenomenon in
Phenomenon.
it. Yeah. I saw a trailer. It looks great. So I'm very eager to see it.
Yeah, it's funny how they have, the phenomenon. Oh, the phenomenon.
Yes. It's like the buzzword.
This is intriguing.
Yes.
But I don't get me wrong. I do like it when people cover these areas and these phenomenons in documentary form and whatnot. But again, I guess to get a better gist of it, I think I'd want to visit it myself. I'd want to, get like, for instance, over here, I know, Alex, we've mentioned the Skinwalker Ranch a few times.
Yep.
And I mean, there's a TV series and there's documentary after documentary, book after book about this place. But I think to truly understand it, I think you have to go visit this place to see, okay, look what's going on, or what might be going on.
I've been to a bunch of places recently where they've seen stuff, and it's always, if I ever have to choose from reading about something or actually go there to look at the place, I will always go and look at the place if possible, because it gives a completely different feeling, and you can get often a much more wider sense of what they saw and how impossible it was. I remember we went to a small town called Hällefors this summer. In 1981, there was a big UFO flap there. A large cigar-shaped object were flying above town and following the roads, basically.
Yeah.
It could, to be fair, it could have been an airship of some kind, like a blimp or a zeppelin. We don't know that yet. But just go there and talk with the girls who are now in their 50s and 60s, standing on the same spot where they saw this thing, maybe 10 meters above them, and just see how close it was, because it's one thing talking with them on phone or reading about it, but you're standing there and, looking up and seeing, okay, just above that treetop, there was a UFO large as a truck, a big truck, basically floating silently above them. That's so powerful, I think. So
I would love to do. I would really love to do this, Alex. I would really love to do and I've been thinking about this for a while. I've been thinking about this for quite a while. I think this would be a very, you've seen it done, but I don't think you've seen it done in the terms you've seen online conferences on YouTube and I think, Fred, you were a part of one not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I actually watched it. Very, very intriguing. I watched it. Very enjoyable. To actually go and investigate a particular area, but as a part of a conference. So, so and so's in the U.S., so and so's here in Canada, so and so's there in Sweden, so and so, and hit that location, and sort of give a multi perspective of what's going on in each location.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's
Almost like a Zoom meeting on steroids.
yeah, on alien steroids. Yeah. um. Now, Fred, are you still working on that paranormal TV show?
No, it's canceled. But
Okay.
it's not because of lack of viewers, but because of exhaustion, I think, from some
Okay.
of the team. But we managed to shoot 2 seasons. One, I think, is maybe it aired, quite recently or within a month. Season 5, and then there's a season 6 next year also.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what will happen with it, but it also felt, to be honest, between us 3 here, that it needed a break, especially after the season 6. It felt that people need to rest, people need to find new inspiration again.
Well, I know you were hoping to sort of take it kind of international, right? To go to international sort of locations.
Yeah. I mean, we've been to a bunch of international locations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But and the last season, they kind of revisiting old locations.
Oh,
They've already
okay.
been to some in the UK, maybe 2 in the UK. I don't remember now. So but it also feels like it's. When these kind of shows get green light, it's often very short amount of time to prepare them, and they always want to shoot them during October. So every of these haunted places are busy with other people in paranormal groups. So it's quite difficult to plan it. So I'm quite grateful I have a break from it now. Well, I kind of hope it will come back sooner or later, but at the moment I want to focus on weirder stuff. I want to focus on UFOs, and cryptids would be so cool, for example.
Yeah. Oh man, I love cryptids. Like I said,
Yeah.
I had my experience that has kept me intrigued with it for years, and I can't even I can't even begin to explain my experience. I mean, so I love cryptid. I love all sorts of cryptid stuff.
There was actually there was a guy writing to me the other day, an acquaintance. I don't know him too well, but he wrote to me because he knows I like this kind of stuff, and he lives in Denmark, and he had been down at the beach at night a few years ago in the summer, so it was warm and nice, chilling. And when he was on the beach, I guess sitting down there was like a humanoid creature with big wings, slightly smaller than a human, kind of flew by him, and he could kind of sense the head and everything. It kind of felt like a Mothman, basically.
Oh wow.
Which these kind of observations are very, very unique in Scandinavia, because we mostly have lake monsters, and lake monsters are fun, but they're not my favorite. I like more, the flying kind, or the land living cryptids. It's something else.
There's something strange following me.
Yes, in the
Yes.
woods.
No. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, speaking of Mothman, Alex, we missed it again this year. The Mothman
We always miss it.
festival. I really have to go there. A good friend of ours, well, of mine. I'm not sure if you know. Do you know Jeff Oslander?
No, not really.
Him and his son, they went down to the festival this year. And it's Point Pleasant, the original town where all the mayhem John Keel wrote about. and there's a whole festival geared around it. I know we've mentioned about going down there several times, but we just haven't gotten down there. Hopefully, maybe next year. We say that every year, but time flies so quickly, though. You say you want to
Yep.
do something, and then something else comes up, and it's just so much going on, so little time, and there's so much strangeness out there, Fred.
Yes.
So much of it.
Yes.
So much of it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I'm kind of envy you on your side of the globe, because you have all these town festivals and conferences. We have so few of those here
Really?
in Sweden. Yeah, it's or in Scandinavia. Of course, you have some in the UK, but it's not the same thing. I love that every small town, for example, in the United States, seems to have their own monster, and they often have some local museum and stuff like that. We don't have that here. It's so boring. I don't know about Canada, but it's United States, obviously.
there are some areas that kind of have stories, but yeah, not like it is in the States. The States, oh my God, there's just every town you walk, not every town, but there's quite a few towns that you walk into, and it's like, oh, this is cool. Like even though it's not really. I remember going, being in California, and just north of San Francisco, in a small little place called Santa Rosa, and I remember driving to the coast, the Pacific coast, and before we hit the coast, we stopped in this little town called Bodega, and I had no idea about this place. And we stopped at the convenience store to pick up some drinks, because it was a really hot day. And walk into this, before walking into the convenience store, there's this big statue of Alfred Hitchcock with a beach shirt on and shorts and hat, and I'm like, okay, that's a neat statue of Alfred Hitchcock. Didn't think anything of it. And then I walk into the store, and there's all this Alfred Hitchcock stuff everywhere. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I asked the guy, I go, pardon my ignorance, but why is there so much, like, what's the fascination with Alfred Hitchcock here? He goes, this is where he shot the birds. I'm like, no friggin' way. Are you serious? Oh yeah. And the guy was pointing out to me, okay, over there is the church, over there is the house, and of course I was like in awe. I'm like, I had to go check out everything in this place. And I know it's not cryptid or anything, but it's just like, every little town has some sort of, myth or legend behind it.
Mm-hmm.
One place I'd like to go to is down in Arkansas, and to sort of look into the what is it now, the boggy creek creature, the folk monster, if you will. And that to me has always been one of the creature stories that just, it still brings chills to my bone to think that a family went through this, an actual family went through this, this creature, if you will, whatever it was, a bear, who knows, but they swear it was, not a bear, and whatever, this creature terrorized them, in this house. It's just the thought of that is just it's unfathomable.
There's someone should write a book about those kind of cases, like the Hopkinsville goblins, or the attack at Ape Canyon. There's also some Bigfoot story, or that one you mentioned now, Boggy Creek, where families needs to basically barricade them stuff from the unknown outside. I mean, it's a basic horror movie setup, but it's so cool, I think, and scary.
I think you should get started on it, Fred.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe.
You know what? I would suggest to you, if you have not looked into it, good friend of ours, he's been on the show before, Lyle Blackburn, and he wrote a very extensive book on the Boggy Creek creature, the folk monster.
Yeah, yeah.
And very, because he's local to the area, so he's pretty familiar with the lore and everything else. Very, 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 very interesting.
I've been wanting to buy that book for a long time because there is some small distributor who have released Boggy Creek on Blu-ray,
Yeah.
and you can buy the Blu-ray and Lyle's book at the same time, like a package. But the shipping from the United States or wherever it's from to Sweden is so expensive. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, exactly. So maybe I just need to buy it somewhere else. But I would love to have the movie itself also, the Blu-ray.
They just recently released it onto Blu-ray, did they not?
Yeah. I think it might be the copyright owners themselves who have remastered it, or they haven't sold it to any larger distributor or someone like that. But the shipping is like $100, and the shipping from the United States to Sweden can sometimes be outrageous, and I don't know why.
For like a small package?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's
it's
insane.
It's like they don't realize they can just. I mean, here in Sweden, you can put it on the mailbox. You just put enough.
Yeah.
Stamps on it. But over there, it seems like, to be able to send it from the United States, we need to ship it with some expensive delivery service or something like that, and it's like. I can't pay that,
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, even to ship it here to Canada is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I eventually just set up an American post box. So I go down there maybe once a month or whatever, and I'll pick it up because the shipping within the U.S. is like not dirt cheap anymore. It's still it's gotten more expensive, but not as bad as just going across the border. It's hilarious. The difference that it's like, I think it's like a $15 difference.
Yeah.
Like it's like, why? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I know. It's a pity because I would like to order a lot of stuff from the but it's I can't do it. I mean, for example, I would love to own Hellier season 1 and 2 on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if they changed it now, whether it was like super expensive or we can't ship outside the United States, which is, of course you can, but
a lot of them won't ship because they won't. And and again, that's the reason why I got my American post box, because a lot of them won't ship outside the US. Now you must speaking of Hillier, you must be pretty intrigued with the latest.
I've seen it. It's a good one.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it. It's available now too.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, with VPN you can access it much easier. Really good documentary. Kind of feels a bit like Hellier, but with more paranormal stuff. But still the synchronicities and everything like that. I dug it. I would love to own it on a physical disc also. So I can recommend it. I don't want to say so much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but it is it's a very intriguing case, and I dig it.
Well, I know a little bit about it, but I not to the extent of obviously I haven't seen it, but I mean I've been meaning to get a hold of Greg and seeing if he'd like to come, him and Dana to come back on the show. It's been a while. Well, actually Dana hasn't been on the show, but Greg's been on the show in the past. So but I'd love to have them both on to talk about that and more, obviously. But it's amazing the amount of stories that have been told, in the US alone, that have not been translated into a documentary, or hasn't brought to the forefront of the paranormal or high strangeness sort of aspect, that are just waiting in the wings. Like, I've heard so many unusual stories that would top some of the best, and yet they have not been, like, tapped.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but yeah, there's so much stories out there to dive deeper into. It's a pity some of the more intriguing ones are such a long time ago, so people have passed away. There's I mean, recently, what's his name now? One of the Pascagoula guys passed away there, for example. I do not know if they managed to make a documentary with him before he passed away, but
I don't know.
That's one of those super weird cases. I mean, the Hopkinsville goblins would have been awesome to dive into, but I guess everyone who actually was there are gone now. I don't
They're
know.
pretty much gone now, I think.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain they've all passed on now. So
Yeah.
but still, yeah, you're right, Fred. I mean, that is an intriguing case. That's I think another one that is a place called Zombie Road in I believe, where is it? Not Louisville, Kentucky. Where is it now exactly? I can't remember where did they shoot. The Booth brothers shot Children of the Grave, and it was at an asylum. I can't remember exactly where exactly it is, but by that asylum, there was this road that they used to call Zombie Road, and there were so many sightings of children walking down and up this road, and literally would come up to the cars and talk to the people in the cars, and just disappear.
Yeah.
It just insane.
Yeah.
Like,
I haven't heard about that one, but
Zombie Road. I mean, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've looked into it, but there's probably something out there on it. And again, I'd have to talk to Keith about that, because he knows more about that sort of lore. But that's what I mean. There's just so many different, like, and I know you're saying that you don't really have that kind of excitement in Sweden, but I'm sure you guys have quite a bit. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
there is, of course, absolutely, but it's I with the production I'm working on now, I've always pushed for having some high strangeness in it, some really weird stuff in it, but it's also you always have this responsibility towards the TV channel. They want something that people want. They don't want people to turn off the television, so they miss the commercials. So but I mean, for me, I could dig up a lot of weird stuff, and where there's still witnesses alive, or from weird creatures to UFOs to other kinds of oddness. So of course there is. I mean, the deeper you dig, the more you find. So yeah, it's there.
The what was that TV series now years ago? In Search Of. In Search Of. Fred Andersson, the Swedish In Search Of.
Yeah. I'd love to do something like that.
What would you call the show, Fred? What would you call it? High Strangeness? What would you call it?
Oh, I would probably. I mean, the name we have on our podcast is Märklighetsfaktorn, which is kind of a Swedish version of High Strangeness, kind of the same. So but I don't want to steal the name of our own podcast for something like that. But Märklighetsfaktorn or Hög Märklighetsfaktor could be something. but then again, maybe my ego, if that ever happens, my ego is so big, so it will probably be called High Strangeness with Fred Andersson. So.
But and do you think if they put you in front of the camera, you'd be like perfectly comfortable with it? Because you seem like you would be.
If they don't edit, cut me, I'm actually in front of the camera. Some smaller parts, some team discussions when we've been visiting a case and met witnesses, we talk about it. So we'll see if it's still there. But
because I get the sense though when I watch a lot of the videos that you've put up on your YouTube channel over the years, even if it's just about some place that you visited on a hike, or even reviewing movies or whatever, just high strangeness. I don't know. I get a sense, excuse me, that you're very comfortable doing it. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
I am. I mean, I'm not even nervous anymore. I remember when I started doing podcasts a number of years ago, I was so nervous. I couldn't sleep. I was like, nowadays it feels natural.
yeah.
I feel so calm doing it, especially with you guys. I've been with you a couple of times, so now
Well,
it's
we
like,
enjoy having you, Fred. You know that.
thank you.
Cheers.
I
Yes.
enjoy being here.
Yeah, we enjoy having you here. And like I said, you know what, I said this a while ago, and when I started to find out that you're more into this sort of thing, I'm like, I gotta have Fred on. We have to have Fred on this show. It's a natural fit.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
I've been on one podcast recently. I did a live talk for the patrons of a podcast, and that was 2 a.m. But outside of that, you're the only guys where I stay up during the night or early morning to talk. So
yeah, I know, and that's the crappy thing about it. Yeah, the time difference, because you're 6 hours.
yeah,
And we normally broadcast at 9 to 11. I go, no, I can't do that to Fred. I mean, that's
yeah. I'm grateful for it. Now I will get a couple of hours of sleep after this is done. So
yeah. I mean, and I know a lot of the viewers here on YouTube are in the UK, so it's late for them even. But I know we've had quite a lot of feedback, and they enjoy it when you come on the show, Fred.
yeah,
I've had a few
happy to hear.
comments from people who have watched the past shows, and and when we do announce that you're coming back on, that they're looking forward to it. But yeah, well, one thing's for sure, I'm definitely looking forward to finally reading your book.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. It sounds very intriguing, and like I said, we've got the link up for where people can find you here on YouTube, and your other links there.
Yeah.
Your social media, and so on and so on. I think we put your link tree up there. So
Yeah, it's the best one.
Yeah, so that will shoot people into all the different directions they need to go, and looking for your book. Northern Lights, High Strangeness in Sweden, is available pretty much everywhere, right? Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's confusing here. Yeah, it's a good book. I'm proud of it, and it's a passion project. It's honestly, I wrote a lot of it in some kind of stream of consciousness style. I started to write about a case, and then I just started to add stuff, things that it has a very free flowing style, you can say, but still it's based on facts and dates and all that kind of stuff. But there is something I love a lot, and there is a lot of woo-woo in it also, of course. So,
but I mean, that's the thing. You sat down and you originally had some, you know, direction, and of course, that's what happens when you
yeah,
discuss this kind of stuff. All this other stuff sort of, wait a sec, I have to integrate this. I have
yeah,
to, you have to bring it into the fold, and bang, you get your book. And who cares if somebody's saying you're babbling or whatever else? You know what, Fred? You know what? I like I said, I've known you for a long time, and even when you wrote your reviews for Cinema Nocturna and everything else, they were always great. Always great. Very, very, very. I'm stroking his ego even more.
yes. Come on, come.
But no, seriously, and because I know because I remember how you used to be a little bit, conscious about your, translation into English, and you know what, you wrote a hell of a lot better than a lot of English writers. So, you did a great job. But so that's what I mean. I really look forward to the book. And guys, you guys watching and soon to be listening, grab Fred's book now.
Yes.
Northern Lights, High Strangeness in Sweden. Fred, is there anything else you want to add?
No, except buy my book. Thank you. No, no. I'm very. It's been a great conversation here tonight, and I truly appreciate every time I have the honor to be a guest in at your show. So. But please, if you want to hang out with me, I have Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and everything like that. Please don't hesitate to join me there. As I always say, I always follow back if you're not an asshole. That's the
yeah. Plain and simple. It's straight enough.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree, Fred. I agree. There's a lot of people out there that, I don't know, have too many opinions.
Oh yeah, really.
Just go with the flow and enjoy. If you don't want to read it, then don't even bother to show up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want to watch, then don't watch.
Just shut up.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so until the next time, I'm sure we'll probably say, hey, Fred, you're free, you want to come on, you're always welcome here, my friend.
Thank you.
And you know what, we'll let you go. I know it's quite early in the morning there, and you need to get some sleep. So I want to bid you adieu and take care, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Take care, Fred. Have a good night,
Alex.
Good night, Fred.
Bye bye.
Bye.
If I can get out here.
Great. Always good to have Fred on, man. I mean, the guy, he's just like, like we mentioned earlier, like I've known him for a long time, and before it was just movies, and he would always bring these recommendations to the table. I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that movie. And I need to track it down. And I have to say, 9 out of 10 times, I really enjoyed the recommendations. I really did.
Yeah.
So, for him to, years later, because I mean, Fred wrote for Cinema Nocturna, I think it was probably from 2002 to about 2005. And I retired the webzine in 2012 officially. So I mean, it'd been a long time since there was a huge gap where I hadn't talked to Fred in a long time. And when I guess when Facebook became more popular and he popped up there, I'm like, oh wow, we kind of touch base again. Hey, Cool Tools, nice to see you, man. It's been a while. it was great to reconnect with him again, and to know that Fred's always been kind of integrated with the Swedish film and television sort of community there in Sweden. I purposely didn't mention one of his big roles, uh, Camp Slaughter. He'll probably kill me for that, but Camp Slaughter, man. I mean, the guy he was an actor in that, and that was a long time ago. But super nice guy, super intelligent, and oh man, he's got a lot of knowledge. And like I said, he's very well connected with the UFO community there in Sweden. Like you said, with the archives, and I believe I'm not sure if it's the Swedish chapter of MUFON or if it's a different sort of UFO group, but he's involved with some UFO group in Sweden. And as you can see, he's been on several podcasts and shows now, promoting his book. Yep. Northern Lights, High Strangeness in Sweden. Guys, go grab it. It's available pretty much anywhere you can grab books.
Yep. It's available on Amazon. It's available everywhere.
Go grab it. Shoot Fred a review or comment on what you thought about the book, because I'm sure he'd love to hear it. So yeah. Next Sunday, we're back regular time finally.
Yeah, exactly.
9 p.m. next Sunday night, where we have Pat Fitzhugh on to talk about the Bell Witch.
Nice.
It's been a while since we've had Pat on.
Yeah.
I think the last time we had Pat on, it was during the lockdown pandemic.
Yeah.
And they had just released, him and a couple other musicians released a Bell Witch song. And they played it live on the show.
Yeah, they played
in
it
the
live
studio.
On
the show, which was pretty cool. So looking forward to catching up with Pat about what's going on with the Bell Witch and more. And then after that, we have Michael Esposito to come on about talking about EVPs. That's going to be good. I'm looking forward to that show.
Yeah. And
did you get my text about Snipe?
Yes, I did.
And so they have a TV show called The Ghost Hunters of the Grand River, and it's on the Aboriginal network. And these guys have an episode where they shot in the Spruce Lane farmhouse.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's premiering October 13th or something. So I'm sure we'll be able to watch it somehow online or something. But a few members of the group are going to be coming on in October, so that'll be pretty cool. That's something new that we've never had on the show before. So they're going to be coming on. We'll be chatting, and we've got a few more guests lined up that we can talk about in the coming weeks. So until next Sunday night, I want to thank Fred Andersson for coming back on, and we look forward to having you back on in the near future. I'm sure we will. It's always a pleasure to have him on. And guys, whoever tuned in or watched this evening on YouTube, thanks again. Really appreciate the support. And of course, hopefully I'll be able to get this in time to Ray, and we could you can hear it rebroadcasted tonight on the New Visions Radio Network, which can be found at www.newvisionsradio.com, and our regular time slot of 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, guys, take care, and we'll see you next Sunday night. Later.
Have a good night, everyone.